What's up YouTube, this is your guide on how to use Rotom Heat in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun me movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section. If you enjoy these, they help you out, hit that like button and let's get into it. So earlier on we did Rotom Wash, so I thought I'd cover probably the next used Pokemon out of them, which would be Rotom Heat. Now, Rotom Heat has electric and fire typing, which is pretty terrible for ground type moves, but of course it's got levitate, so that is very, very good for it. Once again, with all the Rotom forms, looking at their stats, they're not the greatest, but their defense and special defense are the highest stats there, with a special attack being the third highest. So all these Rotom forms do run fairly similar, but of course with the different types being, fire, they do get different moves. Say, Rotom Wash gets Hydro Pump and this gets Overheat, stuff like that. All right, first set here we're going to look at is going to be a Nasty Plot sweeping set. So all the Rotoms do get Nasty Plot, which can make them into reasonable special attackers. So there's a couple of options you could run here. So firstly, obviously Nasty Plot. Thunderbolt's going to be a nice special electric stab. You could go for Thunder, but the accuracy is pretty bad, so I'd probably stick with Thunderbolt. Overheat, which is quite good there, nice 130 base power. Now, it doesn't get anything like Fire Blast or Flamethrower, which in somewhat would be better on a Nasty Plot set because they don't drop your stats. So I gave it White Herb as an item there, so I would probably use that sparingly if you were to use it, because if you keep using it, then you're going to obviously get rid of your Nasty Plot boost. And so you could probably get away of using it twice, and then you would have to, start setting it up again. So Terra Blast Grass as the last move on there, just for some coverage against any, like say, Rock type Pokemon, and pretty much just Rock type Pokemon, I would say. You could use it against water types too, or Pokemon that are 4 times weak to it. Say something like a Quagsire or a Swampert. That would absolutely dominate them. They wouldn't have any answer to that, really. And we've got the item choice as White Herb, which I mentioned. You could also go Heavy Duty Boots if you're singles and worried about Stealth Rocks and stuff like that. That could be good. So either one of them. And then we've got these spread here, max special attack and max speed, timber nature. So pretty standard sort of sweeping build there. And yeah, grass as the Terra, I quite like that. If you're not running Terra Blast, you could definitely run something a little bit different to that if you wanted to. Like you could go Terra Electric or Terra Fire for more damage. Or you could maybe even pop on like Pain Split or something like that. So you could get some health back and reset up another Nasty Plot. That could be an option there as well. You could definitely go for. If you were to do that, I would probably go like Steel, because Steel resists Grass, which is Steel is going to be Rock Pokemon, Rock type moves, and that's going to be quite good as well with Levitate. So I would go for that. And you could also try something. No, I don't think I'd try anything too much outside of that. Electric Fire. I don't think there's anything really all that good. There are some, I'm trying to think of some other ones. There could be there are ones like Poison, so then you're only weak to Psychic type. And that would allow you to get more Nasty Plots up. That could be an idea as well. So yeah, there are ones like that. That pretty much sums up the Nasty Plot set for Rotom Heat. Next set you could run here is a Choice Scarf or Choice Spec set. I think this works pretty well. It hits really hard, and pretty much every Rotom form can run this set to some degree, because it just works. It works well. So Volt Switch, of course, you want to run that on every single choice set on Rotom, whatever Rotom you're using. Thunderbolt, Overheat with Choice Specs hits really, really hard too. Which is great. And you've got Trick. So this is just designed there to cripple any support Pokemon, which are a pain in the bum, right? Say if some bulky special defense wall comes in there, they're going to swap it in. Just go Trick, give them the item, and then just Volt Switch out of there into a physical attacker. Then they're crippled, and then you can set up with a physical attacker, right? That's basically how you go about using it. Singles, doubles, whatever sort of rule set you're playing. I like Terra type Electric on there. There's one weakness. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You could try have Terra type Fire on there if you wanted for some more damage on Overheat. You might be able to you'd be able to use 2 Overheats then in a row quite well without noticing too much of a drop from the Overheat. But that's sort of up to you there what you want. But that's how I would go about using a choice specs there. It's pretty straightforward. There's not much else to it. You could have Terra Blast Grass on there too, like I mentioned before on this nasty plot one. That could be an option if you want to hit those rock type Pokemon. But you can still hit a rock type with a Volt Switch or a Thunderbolt too. So there's that. All right, so double sets here. Let's have a look at this. So unlike one thing about Rotom Wash compared to Rotom Heat and Rotom Lawnmower and stuff like that, it's got Hydro Pump, whereas these have moves like Overheat. So they drop your special events by 2 stages, right? So they're not as good. They're not as spammable. So that's also another reason why Rotom Wash is used the most too. So I thought I could take advantage of Overheat and in its nature how it drops the stats. So I thought you could use Eject Pack here. Eject Pack and Volt Switch on the same set is really good because it means you can go for one of these 2 moves and you can get momentum and pivot onto your team, which can be very important in matchups, right? So we've got Volt Switch, Overheat, Will-O-Wisp, and Electro Web. So Will-O-Wisp is really good for burning any physical opponents, and Electro Web is good speed control too. Some of your more highly offensive Pokemon can then benefit from that if they weren't as fast, right? So we got Terra type Ghost on here. This is more of a defensive one for any fake out users, extreme speed users, anything along those lines, which can be good there. And then we've got EV spread. So 180 in health, 76 in defense, and 252 in special defense. This gives it really, really good special bulk. 76 defense is just enough defense in there to survive some neutral, some neutral physical moves before getting the Will-O-Wisp off. And then 180 in defense in health is just there, try and maximizing its health because it's not that bulky, really. Also, this opens you up to be able to have Pain Split on there as well if you don't want to run Electro Web. So you can heal yourself, you can spread a burn, Volt Switch, and then get out of there. So anything like that's going to be a real pain for the opponent to deal with there. And you could also spread Paralysis as well. Say you wanted to run. You could even run Thunder. You could run Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp on there if you wanted to. This is more like depending on what you match up against. So yeah, you could run. I personally probably run one or the other because, for example, with the Will-O-Wisp build, you can build it more special defensive, and then you could rely on Will-O-Wisp there to burn things. If you're running Thunder Wave only, then I'd put more in defense. That's how I would go about running that. All right, the next set here is going to be a screen set. I was just trying to run something different and see what I could squeeze out of this because it learns so little moves. So Reflect and Light Screen is a very, very good moves there on touch. It's actually a very bulky Pokemon after these are up. Light Clay is going to extend that to 8 turns instead of 5. So you set up your screens there. You've got Volt Switch just for pivoting and Helping Hand for your ally. If that's too passive for you, you can put Overheat on there as well. But pretty much your job, I felt like you only need a Volt Switch because your job is mainly to set up the screens and then get the heck out of there, or just boost up your allies, your power there with Helping Hand. Set is EVs, 252 in health, 76 in defense, and 180 in special events with Bold Nature. This gives it equal bulk all round. And with Reflect and Light Screen up, it's nice and tanky, really, really tanky. I gave this Terra type Poison, just so it couldn't get like poison and stuff like that. I thought could be useful. You could have Electric on there as well. I personally wouldn't Terra this Pokemon. That's my take. There's going to be a better Pokemon to Terra than this, but if you absolutely had to, sure, I've got Poison or Electric or Steel. the general types that would work well on this. You could have You could have water as well. That might be like more of a defensive one. Yeah, water is more of a defensive one there because that's only got 2 weaknesses then too. So something like that, a defensive, like quite a good defensive one would work well on a set like this. So there's some double sets here. Let's have a look at some other thoughts and some builds, and then we'll sort of discuss some teammates and counters and stuff. This isn't a really hard Pokemon to counter. All right, so I've got a tank set here. This is kind of similar to some other sets I've already said, but you could... This is probably better in singles. This is more of a single sort of set. So we've got Volt Switch and Overheat, which sort of, you know, you could go for Overheat, then you can Volt Switch out, which works well. Pain Split just for healing off any damage, and Will-O-Wisp for spreading burns there. Health and Special Defense, complete health and Special Defense as the EVs this time. And it's still got a decent amount of defense there, and with Will-O-Wisp, it's quite tanky. Heavy Boots there for any Stealth Rocks, you know, annoying stuff like that. And then we've got Terra-type Steel as well, which is going to be useful for any like Rock-type moves and stuff like that. And at least then it can't be poison or stuff either. Water will be neutral, those, you know, those sort of things there. Calm Nature as the Nature too. So that's a next set's more of like a pivoting tank build there. Quite similar to what you've already seen though. All right, last set here we've got a Pip Nice special set here. This is a bit of a fun one. Let's check it out. So it is pretty cool that Rotom, well, the Rotoms actually get the move Hex, which is kind of cool. So this move doubles in base power when there's a status ailment. So I thought, maybe I could pass some status along with Discharge, spamming Discharge. It's still, you know, Electric Stab. So I can get a Paralyze, I can heal myself off of Pain Split, and I can also get some flinches with Dark Pulse as well. So you've got 20% chance of flinch. And with that Paralysis, you'll be able to outspeed them. If you want a little bit more damage, then you can go for Hex, right? For, what do we got there? 130 base power. Max health and max speed, Tip of Nature. And, you know, you're just making the opponent's life a misery. That's pretty much the set there. And, of course, how can we forget Bright Powder and Terra Electric for no weaknesses, so with Levitate. So there you go, a beautiful pain in the backside set to use against someone and make them salty. All right, let's talk about some teammates and encounters here. Let's do this. So I would have... teammates. Let's do teammates first. So actually Urshifu's pretty good. Urshifu Rapid is actually quite a good that's quite a good partner for Urshifu. So this can get rid of any rock types because it's literally water and fighting, right? So it doesn't have to worry about that. Plus it can swap into water type moves too and threaten with, you know, powerful physical fighting moves and stuff like that. And then you've got the Rotom, which can deal with any of the grass-type Pokemon, and it can also swap into the electric-type moves too. So they work pretty good at covering each other's weaknesses for sure there. So I would recommend that. Another Pokemon that could work well with them is Fluttermane. So Fluttermane... obviously is weak to Steel type, so, I mean, that's a great Pokemon to swap into a Steel type move, right? Because you can threaten them with Overheat. So they work very, very well together too. And you've got Volt Switch on there, so you can easily go into Fluttermane, and then Fluttermane could, you know, it could set up from there too. So those three Pokemon work well together, whether it's singles or doubles or, you know, whatever sort of, you know, team you're up against there. You could have... Let's have a look at some other fairy type Pokemon. So any fairy Pokemon will be pretty good too with it because it's got that steel weakness. So anything like that would work very, very well for sure. So there's a ton of them there. So Majana wouldn't be too bad either. That would be pretty good. I may have mentioned that already for Rotom, but that would be nice because you've got the Levitate and it's weak to fire as well. So that would be a good partner. There's quite a lot of them that could work well. And then you've got Rillaboom as well. Rillaboom works well with Rotom Wash and also works well with Rotom Heat. So there's some good partners there. And if you're playing hyper-specific rules, just think a Steel Pokemon and a Grass Pokemon. Generally, generally they're going to be working well with this Pokemon. And it's got Levitate too, so that, you know, yeah, that's really, really good for any weaknesses or swap-ins. Now, counters for this. It's not really hard to counter. I would say Garchomp's actually not a bad counter because it can't be paralyzed. It only has to worry about a burn, and it can still hit with Rock Slide there if you're just running that, especially. This is more doubles, obviously. So it can hit it hard with Rock Slide. It does have to worry about Will-O-Wisp, though. Another one here could be Ogerpon. Cornerstone. Its signature move, you know, a rock type, obviously, is going to really destroy it. And also, Overheat is it's not weak to Overheat, it's only neutral too. Also, it can't be one-shotted because it's sturdy. So, yeah, that could be a good one. Rapid Strike is probably even better. Rapid Strike will absolutely dominate it too. So, unless it's a very, very defensive set, it's going to get around. And, you know, and on Rapid Strike, you can run stuff like Lumberry too. So, if it is running something like that, you could waste a turn using Will-O-Wisp, or Will-O-Wisp might miss as well. So, yeah, any how about, I was thinking stuff like something like Swampert would be very, very bad for Rotom. Very, very bad. That's why I suggested on, you know, this nasty plot set or this choice bet, you could have Terra Grass on there, because if you come across a Pokemon that's water and ground, you're going to get clapped, basically. Another good one is Quagsire as well. So any of those Pokemon are going to call... Not that Quagsire can do much. It would have to use water moves and stuff like that. It wouldn't be able to use ground moves, but that'd be awfully good swap-ins there to you know, set up and stuff like that if it needed to. So there's some good counters and stuff like that. Let's have a look at its moves and stuff like that. Not that there's a lot. It's not too much for Rotom Heat, to be honest. So status moves, we went over a light screen set already. We went over a nasty plot set. We sort of explained about Pain Split, how that was pretty good. I don't think there's any point using Rest and Sleep Talk on these. They're just not... There's just better options. Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp are really good. You'll find them on most Rotom sets. They're quite good. Trick is very good, especially on the choice... Well, on the choice spec set, they're great. You can, you know, cripple any bulky Pokemon or pain in the ass Pokemon, basically. You've got you might be able to do like a charge beam set, looking more gimmicky, or Electro. Does it get Electro Ball? Yeah, it does get Electro Ball. You might be able to do something like... This is very gimmicky, by the way, but fun. So you've got Electro Ball. You might be able to do Thunder Wave and Electro Ball as a combination there. That could be useful. Meme territory here. But you could trick them an Iron Ball, paralyze them, hit them with a fat Electro Ball for a meme set. Just thinking of things. The only problem with that was make you grounded, so you'd get hit by a ground type moves. But yeah, there's not too much else for Rotom. You've got Eerie Impulse might be okay on like a support set. But then, you know, a lot of the time, it's hard to get around using Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp and stuff. Like, it's hard to fit that on there. It can get Helping Hand, which is somewhat useful too. But once again, fitting that onto the set will be difficult. It can set its own Rain and Sun up too. It gets Spite for some reason too. That could be real nasty. Like, I don't know. Like, if someone had this is kind of mean. If someone had their last Pokemon. This is generally messed up, but like if you could trick them a Choice Scarf and then you could just spam Spite so they struggle. That's actually kind of mean. So that's another evil strategy if you want to try that. Definitely going to be working better in singles too, and it will take a lot of timing too on the last Pokemon. Special attacks. So as it gets virtually the same special attacking moves as Rotom, you know, Rotom Wash and stuff like that, the other Rotoms, but it does get Overheat. There's nothing that really reaches out there and is amazing apart from the ones I've already mentioned there. It does get you might be able, like I said, you might be able to use Charge Beam, but Charge Beam isn't even 100% chance, so it's not that great. And stored power, you have to use Nasty Plot with that. And you've got Hyper Voice, maybe a Throat Spray combination there. You could use this in the sun. That would make a Torkoal and an Overheat would be quite good. That could be useful. Torkoal is weak to ground, so that could be nice. It does get Nightshade, but I just don't think you can fit Nightshade on the set. And you're probably better off using a stab move anyway, because it's going to be more powerful, than Nightshade. Physical moves. Yeah, so physical moves, it doesn't even get, I don't know, Flame Charge, Flare Blitz, Fire Punch. Like, it's got Oven Mitts on. You think you'd get Fire Punch, right? But yeah, it doesn't get anything there. Probably the only move you'd use physical-wise is Foul Play. That's going to be about it there for Rotom. Rotom Heat. There's not much else. I'm just trying to think what other sets I could possibly come up with this, really. There's really not too much at all. I've gone over a Choice Specs, Nasty Plot. There's no point running Shockwave. It's too weak. Uproar. Everyone uses Uproar. But yeah, that's it. I don't think there's much else I can give you guys right there for sets. I wish it learned a few more moves, That would be great. Anyway, Rotom Heat can run not a bad Nasty Plot set there. It would definitely need Tailwind and for doubles, Tailwind support, and for singles, it would need Sticky Web support to be able to outspeed anything because it's not that fast. Singles, even doubles, it could run a set like this. It wouldn't be too bad at all. You can pass off some annoying you could trick an item to a support Pokemon. And then you could just do some good damage there. That's going to work well on any team. Basically, it works nicely as a Choice Specs or a Choice Scarf pivot, or a bulky pivot as well, like Rotom Wash does. But with its typing isn't as good as Rotom Wash, and it's also got Overheat too. So it'd be better if it had something like Fire Blast, right? This doesn't have like a special attack drop. But overall, still a very, very good Pokemon for sure. The Rotom forms are good. I think next week I'll have a look at Rotom, Moa, Fan, and maybe Base Rotom as well. I might do them all next week and stuff. All right, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you got any more movesets, ideas, or Pokemon you want to see for movesets, put them below and check out the playlist already. I've done quite a few. Peace out.